Hello all, and welcome to my tutorial on projectile motion, an introduction to all of its goodness and the different types of motion that are involved with the different vertical and horizontal components. To start off though, I'm going to turn my video off as I'll be using my pen again, and sometimes it can be distracting watching it flash in and out of the video frame. So I'm going to do that. And we're going to take a look at our two illustrations at the top of the page. First, the one on the left, where we have just a vertical motion. We have a girl, and she is simply dropping a ball off the edge of the cliff. This object, if you see, has had different pictures taken over different time periods. So each one of these dots is the ball as it has dropped over time. And they're at equal time equal time lapses. So if we imagined it was 1 second, at 0 second it's in her hand, 1 second it has fallen this far, after 2 seconds we're here, 3, 4, and all the way down to 5. What you'll notice is the distance between these two dots increases as the ball drops, and this is due to acceleration. So we have an example here of non-uniform motion. The displacement of our object is increasing over equal time periods. We have velocity that is changing. Our ball is increasing in speed, which we intuitively know. We have acceleration due to gravity on Earth. If we drop something as it falls, it will pick up speed. So vertical motion, dropping the ball, we have non-uniform motion and acceleration due to gravity is at play. In our second image here, we have a cannon that has just shot off a cannonball. And again, we have a time lapse of where the cannonball is over equal time periods. So again, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, etc. And you'll notice this time, however, that the space traveled between time periods is equal. They're exactly the same in each spot. And so in this case, we have an example of uniform motion. So there is no acceleration. And intuitively, this can be hard to picture because we don't see it often. Oops, spelling, should add an N. So in our horizontal motion, we have uniform motion. There is no acceleration. Our velocity is remaining constant. And like I was saying, it can be a little bit difficult to intuitively understand this because we don't often experience this type of motion because we have gravity here on Earth. So if we were able to magically remove gravity, an object would continue its motion with the same speed and same direction. And we're going to learn a lot more about this in our next unit when we talk about forces and look at Newton's 3 laws of physics, or 3 laws of motion. Anyway, but as I was just saying, we don't see this very often. What we do see is what's represented in this next picture. So we again have our cannon who is shot off the cannonball, but this time, as we know, gravity is at work. And so our cannonball is slowly making its way to the ground where it will come to rest. And so this is much more indicative of what we normally see. But what's interesting and what we'll see in the image below is how our vertical component and what's going on over here with our girl and what is happening here with our cannonball traveling horizontally actually come together in the spacing of how this cannonball has shifted its direction as it falls to the earth. So let's take a look at that. Okay, it looks a little scary, but we don't need to worry too much. It's not that scary. If you watched my previous video on vector components, you'll be a little bit used to these different arrows. And I'm actually going to do some color coding here because it might help a little bit. So we have our cannon. It has shot out the cannonball. And if we look just at the horizontal, if we were to make a grid or have this on graph paper and draw in our lines of how it's traveling horizontally, you'll find that the horizontal distance traveled in each space is exactly the same. So you could get out your ruler and you could measure each of these vectors showing the horizontal component of movement, and they would all be exactly the same, which in this case, according to the diagram, is 20 meters per second. Okay, so that is showing that these spaces here are all equal. There is no change. So that is the same as this here. However, when we look at how the cannonball is shifting its movement vertically, the same story is not true. And I'm going to switch colors. And again, if we were to plot this onto graph paper, which would be handy, you would notice that the space in between our vertical divisions is increasing, which again goes back to what we saw here and how at each second the position or the change of displacement is increasing. And we'd have the same here, which we can see on these vector arrows. So the vertical ones, that one's fairly small. This one nearly doubles. It increases again. It's increasing again, increasing again, and increasing again. So while the cannonball has maintained uniform motion horizontally, as it's fallen to the ground, the amount of space covered is increasing for each second. And so we have non-uniform motion and we have acceleration due to gravity. So this picture over here on the right side is the same, is demonstrating the same idea, but it's just pictured or visualized differently. So again, if we were to change to my yellow, looking at the horizontal, you'll see here that they are always evenly and equally spaced. So that's kind of what I was trying to show with my yellow dotted lines over on the left. And if we look at our vertical ones, when we're going down the side and doing the same thing, you'll notice that the spacing between them is increasing. And this means that we have accelerated or non-uniform motion. A great table that I found from the physics classroom, and I'm going to link to it at the bottom of this video, and so you can follow it, is a summary of what's happening in regards to force, acceleration, and velocity when we're looking at the horizontal piece of projectile motion or the vertical piece of projectile motion. So first off, looking at the horizontal, so remembering that's this diagram up here with the cannon. In the horizontal, is there a force present? And the answer is no. Uniform motion indicates that there is no force at work. Everything is kind of just staying the same. And so it is just moving along, carrying on its business with no change. Acceleration, again, no. If there's no unbalanced force at work, there's no acceleration, and the speed and direction of our object is remaining constant. And then we can see that here with velocity, it is remaining constant. So if we look at this labeled diagram here, if we look at the Vx, which is the horizontal component, it's saying 20 meters per second all the way along its horizontal trajectory. When we look at the vertical motion, and again, that's represented in the image here with the girl dropping her ball down the edge of the cliff. If we look at what's happening there, is there a force at work? And yes, in this case, there is. There's the force of gravity, which is acting downwards. Consequently, there is also an acceleration. And this, of course, is the gravitational constant of 9.81 meters per second squared. It is at work on the object, accelerating it downwards. Consequently, for velocity then, we have a changing velocity. In this case, it's increasing its speed as it travels downward. And we can see that on this diagram again. We have the Vy is 10 meters per second, then it changes to 20 meters per second, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's increasing by approximately 10 meters per second each time. Now, I just want to point out the negative signs, that's indicating direction, because remember, velocity is a vector quantity, and the negative sign is just showing that the downward direction is thought of as negative. So, question here, how does this show up in maybe a more real life context, although I'm not sure how many of you have been flying planes lately and dropping things out of them, but anyway, an example of where we can kind of see this projectile motion concept at work. So suppose a rescue airplane drops a relief package when it's moving with constant horizontal speed at an elevated height. Assuming, in this case, that air resistance is negligible, non-existent, where will the relief package land relative to the plane? So we have our plane, it's traveling horizontally at a constant speed. We have our drop point. So at this point, we have an object that is being released from the plane, and you need to decide where is it going to land, A, B, or C. Now remember that the horizontal motion of this object is, like the plane, going to remain constant. And so if this much time has passed, then the same amount of time will have passed for our object, and it will have a vertical drop to it due to gravity. But as we know, that will increase and it will follow along the horizontal trajectory. So you should note, if the plane has a constant speed, our package is going to have the same constant speed as our plane. And so if we were to follow the trajectory, it should line up exactly with the airplane's location after the same amount of time. So B should be your final answer. A couple important takeaways, and kind of just looking at something from a slightly different angle, is all of this still works exactly the same whether or not we're dropping the ball or whether we are tossing the ball up into the air first before it lands down. Again, our horizontal motion is going to be constant. So if you were to add all of these lines, you will notice that the change in position horizontally remains constant. And that, again, is because we have uniform motion. However, the same is not the case vertically, where the space in between each is first decreasing because it's working against gravity, and then increasing because it's working with gravity. So again, we can see that there is non-uniform motion in the vertical direction. When you're going to solve problems regarding projectile motion, three important things to keep in mind. First, remember from our previous lesson, I think it was lesson 3, at maximum height here, the speed of our object is going to be 0 meters per second. Remember, our object, when it reaches the height, its maximum height, will momentarily come to a rest before it changes velocity and begins dropping back down to the earth. So it's really important. This is one of those hidden pieces of information that questions will require you to draw out, is that maximum height, our velocity, is equal to 0 meters per second. Also, if you haven't already heard me repeat this multiple times, it's really important to remember that when we're thinking about the horizontal component, we're dealing with uniform motion. There is no acceleration. And so the equation that you're most often going to use whenever thinking about the horizontal is velocity equals, and I should have a change, delta d over delta t, right? There's no acceleration. Velocity is determined by the change of displacement over time. The other key piece of information here, and you can see it added onto this diagram, is that the total time that it takes an object to travel up and then down is going to be twice the amount of time it takes to just get to maximum height. So quite often you'll have enough information to calculate the time to get from when the ball is released to maximum height. And if you can figure out that, you can figure out the total times by multiplying by 2, or vice versa. You might have information that gives you the time for the second half, where it drops from maximum height to the ground. And to find the total amount of time, you'll multiply it by 2. Vertical motion is non-uniform. There is acceleration. Sorry about the spelling mistake there. Let's see, can I fix it with my pen? Not right now. There is acceleration, and this is where all of your kinematic equations that have A in them are going to become important and involved in the math side of things. So those are the important takeaways. Hopefully you have an understanding, at least conceptually or visually, of how the motion is for the object is different when we're looking at the horizontal or the X component versus how the object is moving within the Y component or the vertical motion. I haven't gone over the math here. It's very similar to the vector addition information. And what I find is that usually students are able to apply the math and understand how to do that part of thing, but it's this conceptual piece that they're missing in their understanding. So hopefully by starting with this conceptual piece, you'll understand the relationships and the math will make more sense to you. If you are having troubles with some of the examples in the lesson notes, please listen to the audio I've included there. Please watch the videos I've included there. But for sure, connect with me with an example. I'd be happy to walk you through both the concept and the math at the same time. So anyway, hope that helps and enjoy your day.